say special because of the nature of this woman. She has been advocating for those who, well, I guess otherwise have no voice or have been overlooked or have just been treated. The wonderful Sherri Darlene, ladies and gentlemen, is here for a conversation on Candid Conversations. This is our 80th episode.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. To have you on here is a momentous one because, as I said before, like, I don't think I have spoken to someone on this show yet that has me on edge.
Really? I got you on edge, huh? A good edge?
Good edge, yes, a good edge.
Okay. As long as it's a good one, yeah.
I mean, like, the first time I heard about you, I heard that, you know, you're outspoken and you're devoted to your task and things like that. And I was like, all right, cool. And then I heard you, and I was like, I didn't know what to expect because, like, you're very approachable, right? Usually people... Oh, he froze on me. But I don't often get the vibe that I did from people the way I got it from you. So, she just froze on me. Let's give her a minute to get back here. Yeah. So she first, when I first met her, it was at the Lonzy G show. Shout out to Lonzy G. You know what I mean? At the upper space doing their thing. But yeah, she came on that show and she was speaking about the cause, and she's actually one of the integral speakers or organizers of the Niagara Falls rally. I'm just going to hit refresh on this and hope she comes back. Hold on. Reload. Live. All right. What up? Maybe she'll jump back in. I don't know. She'll jump back in a minute. I don't know what happened with the phone. Okay, so the phone must have froze. But we will get this sorted out. So a little bit about Sherri Darlene. She is the founder of Justice for Black Lives. That is an advocacy group which speaks to issues involving the Black community and people of color. More specifically, the Black agenda has been her focus, as, believe it or not, in Canada, we are still experiencing complications involving racism. And maybe this conversation was going to be too powerful. Maybe the conversation was going to be too polarizing. I don't know, because we were just about to get started and snip right in the bud. It got nipped right in the bud. Okay, so we know this is going to be a good conversation because we're gonna get her back in here. But Candid Conversations is brought to you in part by Expose the North. Expose the North. We go there and beyond. Yes. So I also like to shout out Restream. Restream has sponsored us for this month, as well as our sponsor for the Savage Circle this month, which is Soulicious Pepper Sauce. You see them pepper, yeah? You know them, Mac? Soulicious Pepper Sauce. Too hot for tech. Techxx Inferno. We have 2 flavor. Bring one for your friend or even your neighbor. Soulicious Pepper Sauce. Look on the ingredient. No fat in it. And we have spices, yes. Soulicious Pepper Sauce. We have the niceness. Put it in your drink and spice it up, yes. Soulicious Pepper Sauce. We have apron too. So worth to eat. Just right for you. Yes, Soulicious Pepper Sauce. That brings me great joy to see that commercial. Shout outs to Jay, Jason, you know what I mean, DUI, for putting that together. Yeah, so you know what? Jump in the chat. Is there anything you guys want to talk about while I'm here? Any questions you want to ask while we get Sherri Darlene back online? Yeah. So yeah, let's talk about some stuff here. I wish I had my turntables out here because I would have just slapped something on right there right quick, because this is the conversation. This is what you do when your stream gets kicked out. You figure out another way to entertain. Right now we have candid conversations, and I'm just trying to sort out what it is exactly that I got to do to get the stream going back up. So, shout out Monster Man, Madman. Oh, there it is right there for the logo. Mel Lemonsy. If you are looking for a logo, hit up lemessy@gmail.com. Rates vary and are reasonable. This is awkward, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not gonna lie. Trying to figure out, what the next step is. Just waiting for the connection to re-establish. I guess I should take some time to say we are broadcasting on the Boneyard, courtesy of Bones, TJ Palmer, as well as Expose the North. We go there and beyond. Expose the North. We have production studios located in Welland and are willing to work with you to make your vision come true. Savage Circle Canada. Every Saturday, we have the Savage Circle. Saturday at 7 p.m., we host the Potluck Podcast that brings in even the outcasts. Tough Talks with Tilly and the Block. This next Sunday, Tilly will be defending his Tough Talks title against yours truly, the Block, in a prediction episode. So tune in and see what's going on. The Terrell Effect, every Saturday at 12 p.m. March 20th is going to be a special episode where we have an international band coming to us online. So you're going to want to tune in for that, as well as Candid Conversations every Wednesday at 6 p.m. unless otherwise scheduled. Don't forget Daddy-Daughter Time. That happens on Fridays around 4:30. Boom. Just a little bit of a plug promo there. Got this thing going on here. We're live right now, and I've just been a talking promo for this thing. We might have to have this. I don't know. I'm at a loss. What do you think we should do, people? Talk to me. What should we talk about? There we go. Send that out to the masses. See what we should talk about. Got 5 people in here. Don't be scared to talk now. Unless you can't get to your chat, which I can understand because not all these streaming platforms make it easy to do that. Thinking we're going to get Sherri Darlene back in here. But we got to give it a minute. We got to give it a minute to let that work its way in. Yeah, so episode 6, issue 6. Right now I'm in the process of working on issue 6 of Culture Shock, the magazine for the scene that's unseen. Yes, indeed. That is going to be ready next week, the end of next week, towards the tail end of next week. I have a few artists specifically that never had yeah, we're just trying to sort this out. Okay, so we're just trying to sort it out. Okay. Okay, just trying to. So yeah, just trying to sort this out here. The link apparently just broke, so we're gonna have to talk about that. Yeah, we're gonna have to talk about that a little bit. Moving forward, 8%. 8%. That's a good percentage to get back as a return on your savings. But that's just, and I can't really give you advice, but if there's some numbers that you can crunch and see that'll show you how much you want to get back in order to double your money. I'm starting this course. There's a few courses that I'm doing right now where it comes to better understanding my finances, as well as improving my knowledge of mixing, mastering, engineering, things of that nature. I have a couple of things that that I'm trying to make possible. Ooh. Okay, so apparently there's a system malfunction occurring on Sherri Darlene's side, which is unfortunate because I'm telling you, this woman is a polarizing figure in the community. She has opened my eyes to situations and circumstances that I wasn't entirely aware of, or was aware of in part. It's kind of interesting to see what other people know compared to what I do, because there's a knowledge base that exists in a lot of different ways. Oh my gosh, this is uncanny. We were talking perfectly fine. We had a meeting on Monday, I believe it was, and we were speaking perfectly fine. We were speaking perfectly clearly. Everything was copacetic. And we talked for like a good 10, 15 minutes just to make sure the stream would go. And all of a sudden, as we're about to get into it and live, y'all are going to go and jam up our stream like that. I see you. Oh my gosh. Oh man. That's madness. Oh man. I guess, wait, hold on. We could get her to call in. Okay. Do a call in. Yeah, we'll do a call in. I'll put her on speaker and mic her up so y'all. Oh, she's back. Okay. Boom. I was about to say, call it.
That was weird. That's never happened before. Never.
I was just saying, we were talking for a good 15 minutes on Monday and nothing like that went on. So how all of a sudden, like, we're live right now and we're about to get into some talks. Some say conspiracy, but at the same time,
My mother and my grandmother used to always say the devil's always hard at work.
oh my goodness, for real, for real. That's why we gotta work harder than him.
Amen. Amen. Wow, that was really weird.
Yeah, no, because I was there. I'm like, yeah, and then like we were about to start talking about it, and then just frozen. I'm just like,
Yeah.
no,
Maybe we should stick to cookie recipes.
yeah, we'll talk about the weather and how cold it is outside.
Yeah.
Touch base on the same topics. Oh man. The wonderful and resilient Sherri Darlene, ladies and gentlemen. Oh man.
Hello, everyone. I'm very sorry about that, but things that make you go,
Indeed, indeed. So, let's just jump into it. It was on the news today. It's been something that you have passionately advocated about. So, what? I guess there's no easy way to ask this question. So, what is the key, in your view, to overcoming or at least addressing, working on systematic racism as it exists?
Well, I think it always begins with education. That's top of the line. But part of that education includes we've got to get white people. We've got their ears now. Now we need their eyes, their mouths, because white people have been bamboozled, like Malcolm X used to say. What you've been taught about your history, it's been romanticized to you, and it's not true. The things that you know about Black people, they're not true to a certain extent, especially what you learned at school. They're not true. The history of the white man has never, ever gotten anything that he didn't steal or rob and rape and pillage for. And white people, that's a hard, hard pill to swallow. When you start thinking about your forefathers, when you start thinking about where your family got, where your family is today, and how you have that generational wealth. And that's not to say that every white person has done that, but definitely every white person on this planet with white skin has benefited from the privilege of their supremacy, which was embedded in them through their socialization agents, whether they wanted it or not.
And I guess that's one of the hard parts, because I had a conversation with a representative at the office of the premier, and my problem with this whole is that it's taught to us. So when I'm speaking about certain things, like, okay, for example, it's Black History Month, and the first or most prominent aspect of Black History Month in the media when they're teaching in schools is always slavery. Now, I tried to present the argument that our history as Black people did not begin as slaves. The argument was slavery, or their argument was slavery was a significant part of Black history, so that's what they start with. And we can't expect children to understand the full scope of Black history, so we have to start with slavery for them to understand, I guess, a part of it.
No, let's really talk about the truth of it. The truth is 90% of them probably don't know the history of the Black person prior to slavery. They don't know that we were kings and queens and lived in paradise, and they don't know that part. So they're not, and even if they did, they need to keep that hidden, because that's not going to make us look like the victims they need us to look like. So that part is deliberately withheld, I believe. And I don't care if you're a professor or any sort of teacher or in an educational institution, you have the means, just like I have the means and the resources, to dig a little deeper if you'd like. And we all know, like you said, Black people, they don't want them to know that we are the first. They don't want them to know that every other race came from us. It's been proven, scientifically proven. What did they call her? What's her name? They've proven that every person on the planet DNA goes back to her, a black
Yeah,
woman.
I remember who you're talking about, but I don't remember her name, and
Yeah,
I
I
don't want
can't
to.
remember. Yeah, I can't remember
Yeah,
her name either, but it's there. And anything that makes us look uh less than, that's what they're gonna hold to the forefront. That's what they're gonna push. That's what their agenda is gonna push.
Lucy.
Just like
Her name's
Lucy,
Lucy.
yeah. Yeah, just like they don't push forth the agenda with the white people, just like they don't push forth the agenda of the good white people, the white people who open their homes during the Underground Railroad. They keep that hush hush, right? But they'll put that out there before they'll put out that there was resistance. We didn't just lay down and become slaves. There was a lot of black resistance in the slave movement, and they don't teach our children. I don't know about you. I grew up right here in Niagara Falls, and the only thing I knew and learned about my blackness at school was that we were slaves and white people enslaved us, and that was the extent of it.
It
Everything
was.
else came from home.
It wasn't until high school that we really. Actually, no, I lie. My family was very very specific in making sure that I learned about the significant people of culture like Marcus Garvey, Bob Marley, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, a lot of poets, artists, philosophers, philanthropists, musicians. So I was lucky. Like one of my aunts is a teacher, so
Yeah.
like in growing up, I was kind of a product of her teachings as well. And history has always been something that I found to be interesting, like how
Yes.
things came to be and their origins. So, but
Yes.
that was my own personal pursuits. That wasn't so much being taught in school. And even in trying to reflect on some of that knowledge in school, the teachers were like, wow, how did you know about this? We haven't taught you that. So,
I remember particularly in grade 2, they asked the question, well, if you could go back and talk to anybody who's gone to heaven, who would you want to talk to? And I wrote down on my paper Malcolm X. And I got called down to the office, as did my mother get called, and they told my mother that I was glorifying a hate monger. Yeah, and my mother said he's not a hate monger in our house, and if you did your education, you'd know that that was a very educated man, and he's not a hate monger. And that was at grade 2.
I mean, like a little bit, more about the whole Malcolm X, Martin Luther King thing. Something that a lot of people don't know, and I'd like to surprise them with, is that there were white people who spoke about the Black cause. Stan Lee was one of them. He actually, the X-Men series was in honor to Malcolm X and Martin Luther King, where Magneto and the Brotherhood were likened to Malcolm X and his empowerment movement, and Professor X was likened to Martin Luther King and his collective assembly.
Yes. Yes.
So there are, but at the same time, there's so few and far between sometimes that it's just like, what the hell is going on?
Well, I mean, it's just like, if you remember correctly, think back to when Black Panther was coming out, the Black Panther movie, and you saw the Black world ignite with joy, and white people stood back baffled. They could not understand what the big deal is. They could not understand why people were so happy. Black people were so happy. They could not understand why we were rounding up our kids, our grandkids, our nieces, our nephews, while we were rounding them up, running to that theater, because they've been so ignorant and privileged their whole life that they've had their superheroes. Every morning, everywhere they go, they've had their superhero. I don't know about you, but when I went back home in the ghetto, every kid, I told my mother, watch Halloween. Every kid in the hood's going to be dressed up like Black Panther. You finally gave them something. It's just like Disney introducing their first Black princess in in 2010 or 2015, and we're like, are you serious? But because of the socialization agents that white people have been surrounded with, like I said, whether they knew it or not, their supremacy was literally built into them. It was in everything they did. It was everywhere they went, every book they picked up, every poster they looked at, every magazine they turned the page, every ad had people that looked like them. So when somebody came out that looked like us and he could fly and he had powers, you're damn right we took our kids go.
Yep.
They needed to see that. They needed to see that. And that you saw videos where black people went in there dancing, put their African gear on just to go see a movie.
Yep. Wakanda Forever trended for
right?
it. Like,
Wakanda Forever, right?
For the longest time. Like,
right?
I'm wearing my Black Panther shirt right now. I'm not even going to lie.
Right? We were not messing around. We were not messing around. Not at all. And I remember probably about 2 years before that when Wonder Woman came out. And I quite like Wonder Woman. But I remember, for no particular reason, my husband said, "Oh, let's go see Wonder Woman." I said, "You know what? If she were black, I'd go see it. Not any hate on Wonder Woman, but I'm tired of seeing the white woman superhero coming down, saving everything. I need to see a sister. I need to see. I done watched this shit my whole life, and I'm tired. I already know how it's going to end. The great white savior. I don't need to see this. Show me a sister that's fighting crime, that's swinging from buildings and got an invisible jet. I need to see that. My blackness needs to see that."
Yeah,
like I was literally just fed up with it. Just fed up. And I think that comes with age.
I think now that I'm looking back at it, I think that's part of the reason why I'm so over the top. Like I want to set an example. I've always told myself I want to live a life worth telling a story about. But I look at some of my predecessors, and it's like I do some things, and it's just like, will people take notice of this down the road? Will people realize this is part of the thing that started something, that started that change? And like even some of my inner circle, like I've done things like get this property upgraded that I live at, like the whole property, not just my unit, the whole property. And I'll tell people about it, and they're looking at me like, "You? There's no way you could have gotten like $2 million put into a property. Why didn't you get it yourself?"
Right.
You know what I mean?
To them, there's no reasonable explanation that you must be a drug dealer.
Yes.
If you were able to do that, you must be a drug dealer or a pimp, because black men just don't operate like that. That's not how they do it. That's not how they get things.
No, we don't have drive or ambition. It's hard. It's hard to look at certain things and be like I had a business partner one time. You met him. We're no longer working together. But that was taken by this individual about my cousin was like, it's like, I can't go to your house, stand in your kitchen, use your ingredients to make myself a meal, and then tell you that what you had in your fridge wasn't good enough.
Right.
Like, this is something that still bothers me because it's like, how many other out there doing good for people that are turning around and they're spitting in their face?
Well, I mean, let's be honest with ourselves. White people have been notorious for this. This is their behavior. There's something in white solidarity, which is why we're sitting here today having to have these painful conversations, these uncomfortable conversations, is because of that silent solidarity between white people. You know, you hear them all the time talk about they were somewhere and they heard a racial joke and they just thought it was so rude and so ignorant and they were so disgusted in that person. And my first question is, what did you do? And they all say, well, guess what's going to happen the next time you're in the room with that guy? He's probably going to do the same thing. But if you open your mouth this time, he might think twice before he goes somewhere where he feels that white solidarity. He might think twice, even though there's nobody in black in the room. He might think twice if you open your white mouth and let him know, I'm not comfortable, nor do I agree with what you're saying. So white people, you got a large job ahead of you. We've been doing it for centuries. and we're handing it over to you because racism is not our dog. We do not breed it. We do not teach our children it. You teach it. You nurture it. You feed it like a baby. You've kept it well, alive, healthy. That is what the white man has done. And
Take it off
time's
the
up.
table. Just
Time's
take
up.
it off the table. Just
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Time's up.
Like I said, I just see a lot of things that need to change, and it's good to know that they're actually speaking to these situations boldly. Like,
I mean,
and some
even
people are going to get
yesterday.
uncomfortable. Like, and
Absolutely.
it's unfortunate.
Even yesterday, I had an encounter with some police officers. I pulled into a parking lot at the store and I bumped the car that was in front of me. So when I was very aware that I bumped the car in front of me, and when I got out of the car, I obviously assumed there was no owner around. I assumed the owner would be in the store that I was going to. But however, there was a group of white people, kind of like kitty cornered over there, right behind the car. They saw me hit the car, and I know that they saw me hit the car, nor was I trying to flee or anything. So by the time I had gotten to the door, the owner of the car came out, which was the store owner, and we both walked over, checked it out. No, I mean, literally just bumped it. No damage, no nothing, nothing on his, nothing on mine. And the white people in the corner are over there screaming, you know, look at her. She's drunk. She's drunk. Look at her. She can barely stand up. I had nothing to drink all day. Tired? Yes. Drunk? No. Look at her. She's drunk. We're calling the police. And this is the owner of the car saying, no, everything's good. Everything's good. There's nothing wrong. You don't need to call the police. Everything's good. Well, they move forward anyways and call the police. So when the police, yes. So when the policeman gets there, this is an older gentleman. He walks right up to me and he says, so how much have you had to drink today? And I said, I haven't had anything to drink. He said, I'm going to ask you this again. How much have you had to drink today? I said, and I'm going to tell you again. Just because that group of white people over there, oh, don't pull the race card with me, he says. I said, I'm not pulling the race card. I'm just stating the obvious, which is there's a group of white people over there who told you I was drunk. So before you came over here and decided already that I was drunk, maybe you should talk to me and ask me what the situation is, and maybe we can have a conversation, because you've already assumed that I'm drunk, and I'm not. I haven't had a drop of alcohol. Oh, here we go with the racing. Now, what happened here was which is something that needs to start happening, which is something we're pushing for, was there was a much younger cop, and he came over, and because by this time, the older cop, I could tell there was literally a button in my head that clicked, and it said, Sherri, this is going to go really bad in about 2 seconds, because what he was trying to do was he was trying to massa me. And Black people know what that means. He was about to start talking to me like he was massa and I was slave. That's how he was getting ready to talk to me, because he had asked me to step to the back of the car because he had let me know that I could be under arrest. And I said, for what? And just as he said that, the younger cop came up, put his hand on his shoulder and kind of like, I'll take this, which was appreciated. Ma'am, can I see your insurance? Everything went fine. I got a ticket because I couldn't pull up because my insurance card is on my phone, right? I got a ticket for not being able to show my insurance there, which I go and show within 15 days, ticket gets wiped away. But this is what I'm saying in dealing with this man, because this group of white people over here who I don't know from Adam, don't know me, saw me bump the car. I just turned into the space a little bit wider. I don't know why. Maybe I just wasn't watching, but I did bump the car. But when I got out of the car, they look, she's drunk. Look at her. She can't even stand up. And without even speaking to me, he came over and he had decided that because these white people had told him I was drunk, I was drunk.
Because it had found, in his eyes, it had foundation because there was a group willing to substantiate his perspective.
And it was white solidarity. Why don't you come over and ask me? And then when I stated to him that because this group of white people over here are telling you that I'm drunk, you've walked over here already deciding that I was intoxicated. So rather than do that, why not have a conversation with me and find out what's going on?
Yeah.
Oh, don't pull the race card with me, he says. And literally, I saw myself up against the back of the car with cuffs on. I knew that's where it was going, because this man was going to try to massa me, and that was not going to go over well.
Oh, man. I hear you.
That was not gonna go over well.
I
No, no,
hear
no,
you.
no. Yeah, because but we're tired of that. And I mean, if it meant me having to get cuffs on and go downtown, so be it. But you better have a damn good lawyer when this is all said and done.
Oh man, for real. And that's what they're
Yeah.
not ready for. They're not ready for the intellectual approach.
Yes. Yes.
Oh man. Okay, so I gotta ask you some questions about you.
Sure.
Okay, all right. So I guess the first one, um, if you were to sum up yourself, who is Sherri Darlene?
If I were to sum up myself,
Yes.
well, I can tell you I am an avid music. I believe music speaks to you. I believe it has the power to heal. It has the power to comfort. It has the power to fuel. It has the power to rage. I believe music is just, it's my heartbeat. It like runs through my veins is music. A lot of the things that I do, Justice for Black Lives came from a song.
Okay.
And when I find a song and it speaks to me, I'm a lyric person, right? I listen to just about any kind of music, but I'm about the lyrics. And my brother sent me this song probably about 3 days before Justice for Black Lives came to me. And the lyrics literally gave me goosebumps because I had been thinking, right? I had been thinking weeks before that because the Ahmaud Arbery thing had happened and that enraged me. And I was speaking to God out loud, like, what do we need to do here? Like, this has got to stop. How do I stop it? Give me the tools to stop it. Give me the tools to make a difference, you know? And my brother sent me that song, and I thought to myself, how haven't I heard this song before? But I heard it when I was supposed to hear it. That's the way I look at it. The universe sent it to me when I was supposed to hear it. And in the song, he says, I need somebody to come and free my people, to come and feed my people, to make them eat. They're starving. And those lyrics just like they literally give me goosebumps because we did. When's our last leader? When's our last leader? When's our last leader who literally stood up and said no? Because let's keep in mind, they kill us. When we do get that loud, when we do start making moves, when we do start getting people behind us, they kill us.
Yep.
And that is a fear of mine. Maybe not so much here in Canada, but I mean, I get death threats on the daily. When I was planning the demonstration, I used to meet every other day with one of the policemen because the police, they actually have a department that deals with just demonstrations. They travel all around Ontario and they police the demonstrations. So the officer that I was dealing with, him and I spoke quite frequently. And they pay attention to the online trolls and, just what's going on around the whole thing. And we had a meeting the one day down there at Shoppers Victoria Avenue parking lot. And I said to him, I feel like I'm being followed by the police. Is it me? And I said, even my husband and my son said the same thing. And he said, well, you weren't supposed to notice. And I said, oh, he said, yeah, we've been online. We've had some threats towards you. So we've been kind of staying back, but yeah, we've been watching your house. We've been looking out for you. I'm like, okay. Cause I thought I was going crazy because it seemed like everywhere I went for the past 2 days, there was a cop behind me, around me, near me,
Yeah.
So, I mean, and that's how serious it is. They don't want people like me stepping up and speaking up, and they damn sure don't want anybody listening to me. And see, that's what the problem is. People, we have their ears now. More importantly, we have the white people's ears because we've had the brothers and sisters' ears. We got white people's ears now.
Just a comment that kind of goes with what you were saying.
Yes, lyrics are everything.
Yeah, it's true. And like and there are even so far as my wife, she knew what she was getting into. Before we got, and she has stood task on I've seen her she's had arguments with online personalities, well-known and well-established personalities in defense of the Black cause because she's seen it firsthand where I've been cuffed by police for trying to retrieve my own property. Let's pull that back. How do you go to get your? How do you tell the police the day before to meet you the next day at the place you're going to get your property and end up arrested for that? That's what I like.
It's tiresome. It's to the point now, honestly, and I don't know if it comes with age, and I really believe it does, but I've got zero tolerance today. At 48 years old, I've got absolute zero tolerance. I don't care what job I'm at. I don't care what restaurant I'm at. I don't care whose company I'm in. If I encounter ignorance, I'm hitting the ground running, and you better look up and look up quick, and you better have an answer. Because if you don't, you're about to get schooled.
Oof.
Yes. I have zero tolerance for it. Zero.
Yeah.
And it's not okay for white people. White people, if you're listening to me, you can hear me. It's not okay not to know any better anymore. You can't use that anymore. Because I can get the books the same place you get the books. Shows are available to me just like they're available to you. So there's no excuse anymore.
If you want to know, you're gonna find out. It's like when you see a special, you know what store it has it. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Exactly.
You know where you can go get it. So if you wanted to know, and there's something. So I don't want, and that's the thing. I don't want people to sit here and be like, "Oh, all of a sudden he's attacking white people. Oh, she's attacking white." No, it's not. We're speaking from a genuine place of concern. If there's something that you as white people feel that we should know as black people that we don't already had force feed to us, force fed to us, let us know.
Yeah.
I can tell you about like I can tell you about different prolific white people like Terry Fox or now Tom Brady. You got I mean,
right?
There's just
right.
It was, and I bet you there's more uproar over Batman now becoming a black man. Because now,
look how they behaved when they thought they were thinking about making Little Mermaid black.
Oh gosh!
I mean, all hell broke loose online at the idea that they were going to make this mermaid black. Come on, white people, you guys got to do better than that. You've got to do better than that.
Yeah. When they made White Black.
What's that?
When they made Snow White Black for I think a Broadway musical.
Oh, I never seen that.
Yeah. There's a few there, and that's the thing. There's changes like the Green Lantern, Batman, Nick Fury in the last 20 years are all characters that have gone from white to black.
Yeah.
So, but the only problem I have with that is, what else is in the works? What else are they doing? Because there's never a concession made without something more significant occurring. Yeah. So it's like, here's the pillow. By the way, I still have the mattress. You know what I mean? So,
yes.
I'm just waiting for that.
Yeah, exactly. And there always is one. There always is. We want to give you the benefit of the doubt, but every time you give you the chance to do the right thing, your integrity goes out the window. Every single time you give a white person, especially when we start speaking about in the entertainment business and when we get to our higher ups, we always give you the opportunity to do the right thing. It's always there.
Yes.
It's always. And you don't do it, or you don't say it. You get on TV and you say some bullshit. You say some nonsense. Everybody, when the George Floyd thing happened, I've never watched the video, nor will I ever watch the video. Because just the way that Ahmaud Arbery upset me, I just could not handle watching that. But what I did hear was a lot of white people, yeah, but a year ago he did this, and yeah, but he was on drugs, and yeah. And I put it to him like this: I don't give a shit what he was doing. I don't care if he was in there holding the store clerk up at gunpoint. Then what you should do is call the police, and the police should come and treat him like a criminal. They should arrest him like a criminal. They should put him in the back of the car like a criminal, drive him to the precinct, fingerprint him, book him. He'll have his day in court like a criminal.
Not like a pig for the slaughter. But we have a question here that I got to bring up because it's in line with what we're talking about.
What
So, as a common white person that wants to be supportive but doesn't know where to start, what would you suggest?
I would suggest that you look for a group that you want to align yourself with, a cause that you're passionate about, especially when it comes to being anti-racist, whether it's through the educational institutions, maybe it's volunteering, maybe it's standing alongside Justice for Black Lives when we hit the road, when we hit those streets, flyers, whatever. But find a cause that you're passionate about. Because if you're passionate about it, you're going to dive in deep. You're going to want to know as much as you possibly can about it. And that's how you start. And there's all kinds of organizations out there now. And worst case scenario, you can't find one that you like that aligns yourself, then you make up your own. You start your own.
All right, all right. That's a good one. That's a good answer. Thank you for that question. We have Charlotte and FX may vary on next week on Candid Conversations. That's a band from Elmville. So thank you for watching. We appreciate you. That was a good question.
Yeah, really good question. And I get that question a lot. And the thing is like the most important thing is the conversations that I'm hired to have now, and they're difficult and they're hard for white people. And white people often shut down, but I'm so happy that they're even putting their name on that paper to sign up. And whether you make it halfway through, all the way through, or just a little bit through, the bottom line is you took the first step and signed up. Maybe you didn't make it all the way through. Maybe next time sign up and try to give yourself an extra 5 minutes. You're going to hear things that you don't like. And because when they hear that, when white people hear racism and racist, you ever notice how white people get so upset when you call them a racist? Because of what is aligned and accompanies with that word is they think it means bad, and that means they're bad, and they're evil. And no, that's not it. That's not it at all. What we're giving you is the truth. I'm just telling you the truth. Unfortunately, like I said, like Malcolm X is saying, you've been bamboozled. Your educational institutions, you should be very upset with them for the nonsense that they taught you and the nonsense that they pushed forward to you, because they didn't tell you the truth. And that goes for the indigenous history, the Black history, their hand in it. The white man doesn't have anything that he didn't take or steal from someone else. And that is the truth.
I'm still trying to figure out the whole European aspect of it. I asked the question the other day, and it was like, I still haven't got an answer. I said, what thought just burrows itself in someone's mind where they see another culture and say, yeah, I'm going to create torment and conflict for them for centuries?
That's actually something that's a really good question that you asked, because that's actually something that we were discussing in the group chat, and we're actually doing our research on that right now, because what we want to know is what we're real curious to find out, and what most people don't understand is back at centuries and centuries ago, all races, all humanity, they all had slaves. However, they were happy slaves. They were not the brutality and the level of insidious behavior that went along. It only came from the Europeans. And I'm so curious about that I'm digging about that. Where did they step it? Where and why did they feel it necessary to take it to that level on which they did? Because I think what's really, really, really going to floor white people is when they learn the details, and I do mean the details of the insidiousness of what happened to Black people in slavery. And I'm not sugarcoating nothing. When you learn how horrible, when you learn how they had fair games, and it would be hit the nigger baby, and they would allow the mother to breastfeed her baby prior to throwing baseballs at the baby, because it was considered a hit, because they wanted the baby's tummy to be full. So they would allow the mother to breastfeed the baby before they barreled a baseball at this baby's stomach. So the baby's stomach exploded. It was a big to them to see this baby's stomach exploded because it was so full with milk. Do you know how sick in your head you have to be to not only participate in that, but pay to go see it? Do you know how
I,
sick you got to be to
that's
use
just
little babies for alligator bait? Do you know how sick you have to be to rape little boys and little girls? You have to be. So we're really, that's what I'm really digging in the last couple of weeks, is I'm really finding out when that needle, like whose idea was it to take it to the next notch? And the buck breaking and all that. Like what people don't understand is the white man went to extraneous measures to break the black household, to break the black man, to break the black family. And when I tell you they studied that shit, they studied that shit. And that's why we're here today. The system is not broken, my friends. The system works exactly how they planned it. That's why it's not enough to fight it. We must dismantle it. And it has to be put back together again because it's not broken at all.
no.
They took a lot of time and energy into developing this system. Yeah, you freed it from slavery, but then you came up with what happened. What happened after slavery was abolished? They started building prisons like they were building department stores.
Yep.
You understand what I'm saying? Like there is a method to the madness. It's always been, this plan has been strategic. There's been so much thought. They've studied it. This is a very thought out plan. And it has to be dismantled. Not sit down and talk about it. No, we got to dismantle it. And we got to sit back down at the table with black people at this table this time. That's how that's got to happen. And they're going to fight tooth and nail. Everything the black man can do today, he fought for. As simple as where you can sit on the bus, where you can get a drink out of the fountain, where you can sit in a restaurant, what school you can go to, where you couldn't even they didn't even allow the slaves to wear shoes. Weren't allowed to wear shoes because you might run.
Couldn't vote.
You weren't allowed to read. And God damn it, if you got caught teaching other slaves how to read, they cut your fucking tongue out of your mouth. Sir, pardon my language. But I mean, this is where we've come from. So the idea that you think that somebody, and that keeps breeding on and breed, I call it infectious, insidious hate, because it's infectious because they give it to one another. They give it to their kids. They give it to their, and it's been allowed to grow. Infectious, insidious ignorance. It's just been allowed, impeccable. That's what I call it. Infectious, impeccable ignorance, because they perfected it. White people have perfected ignorance. It's been allowed to just fester and grow. And like I said previously, they nurture it, they baby it, they take care of it. The minute it looks like it's in jeopardy, well, you seen on January 6th, you seen what they thought, and that was all in the name of, oh my God,
yeah,
you're trying to make the playing field equal. We don't want that. We need our supremacy to always be supremacy. And that's what the problem is. White people are losing that grip. But what they don't understand is, and more than anything, what I learned on June 6th is white, black, Asian, Native, it don't matter. There's more of us than there is of them. And that's what I learned on June 6th, because I had honestly lost my faith in humanity. But when I saw all those white people out there, when I had a couple send me an email and say to me, they just had twins. One of the twins, so sadly, one of the twins passed. They were just able to bring the other twin home. They wanted to come to June 6th so badly, but of course with COVID, they didn't want to risk bringing baby out. Do you know those people showed up anyways? With your baby? Wow. Do you know those white people showed up anyways? They did not participate, but they came over, introduced themselves to me, and walked me over to their van and let me hold their baby while they took a picture.
Aw, that's awesome. So I guess
that's amazing. That is amazing. And that's what restored my faith in Hannah, is people like that came out. Your baby's at risk, just got home from the hospital, it's a preemie. One of your babies you've already lost, but you felt it in your heart so passionately that you packed that baby up and you took a risk and you came out to let me know, Sherri, there's good white people out there.
So and I guess, what is the driving force behind your advocacy?
I'd have to say having my great grandmother still here with me on this planet and being able to hear her she lived it. She's 116 years old. She remembers being on the plantation. She is the oldest living American in the United States right now. Um, it's such a it's like an invisible cord connected from my heart to her heart, and I just needed to know, Granny, I'm doing any and everything I can to try to make this, because the thought of my grandchild having to put up with what I put up with here in Niagara Falls, it makes my blood curdle. It literally brings tears to my eyes. There's songs that I hear that make me cry. There's like, I'm just so deeply connected to it, and I think it is because of my great great grandmother, because I am so close to it, because I can sit down and talk to her and get that wisdom from her. And she's very she's sitting at home and she's watching the TV and she's amazed on the movements that Black people have made. But she'll also tell you in a minute, we haven't come far enough. It ain't good enough yet. And this is coming from a woman who watched her son get shot over 25 cents and nobody come to his aid. No policemen show up to arrest the white man that shot him. Nothing. He was just dead and he had to go. So I think that's definitely where my passion comes from. That's definitely where I think it was born on me. Like I had someone ask me a couple weeks ago in an interview, when did you get activated, so to speak, to be this advocate, to be an activist? And I thought, well, June 6th. And then after I sat and thought about it for a while, like, no, I was activated probably grade one. Probably grade one, I'd say I was activated, because it did not make sense to me, even as a child. When my mother explained to me the kind of things that were going to happen to me on the sole purpose that I had brown skin, that shit made no rhyme or reason to me at all. Like, I thought she was joking. And then to actually see it happen and receive it from adults, like, you know how sick you got to be to mistreat a child?
Very.
Good, bad, whatever. You have to be a very sick person up here to mistreat a child in any way, shape, or form, to speak down to a child in any way, shape, or form. You cannot be all there mentally to do that to a child. But this happened to me day in, day out, and I really just had no understanding of it. And I say that's when I got activated, because I didn't have any understanding of it. Didn't have any understanding of it, didn't care to understand, didn't make no sense to me. And my whole life I was thinking, how can we change this? What do we got to do to change this? How much fighting do we have to do? And then when you watch, I don't know about you, but I remember Rodney King. You remember Rodney King?
Yep.
I remember Rodney King because I thought to myself, well, this is it. They can't lie no more. They can't deny no more. There it is, baby, right there on film. I thought that was it. This is the end of it. Finally, we're going to be free. Finally, they're going to get it. People are going to start talking. They're going to see it. They're going to see it. When those officers were acquitted, that was, I think, that was like literally someone coming up and kicking you right in your teeth. Because and to me, it was just, okay. So you can know what's happening. You can see when it's happening, but you're still going to stand up in front of a camera and make an excuse as to why it's okay that it happened. And and we're still dealing with that today. The minute a Black man gets shot by a cop and he's unarmed, they start weaponizing his past. They start trying to dismantle who he was as an individual, instead of saying he was unjustly killed, which is the truth. Let's tell you what a terrible person he is and these terrible things he did back then. None of that should matter. It all of a sudden they get technical, and they're still doing it. And that's what the problem is. And that's why the world is erupting, because for some reason, I don't know what it was about George Floyd. I personally think that George Floyd humanized Black people to white people, because only white people were sickened and shocked by that video. You weren't sickened and shocked by that video. I wasn't sickened and shocked by that video, because you know what? Think of all the ones that didn't get filmed. We know that happens. It's been in our music for the last century after century. We know goes on. We've been telling you this happens. And they get free and they walk free and this happens all the time. But I think for white people to actually see it and watch the life leave his body, he humanized. He became, instead of Black George Floyd, he became, oh my God, there's a human being who just got murdered on TV. And I think for some reason, it really hit white people at home. And I think we're dealing with a different generation too. We're dealing with, especially with white people. I'm so proud of you. So proud of you, this generation. They're not keeping their mouth shut. They're not. And that's because we've got a lot of different educational institutions out there. We got a lot of different resources available to them. And the world itself is becoming more diverse.
Mm-hmm. Yes, indeed. There's a lot of dynamics that are changing and have changed over the last 10, 20 years that are, social media in itself too has been a significant turning point in the way these altercations are received. Body cameras, I don't know why they're not already a thing.
You know what? I honestly, as black person to black person, that's nice that you're going to put body cameras on them, but you're going to need to do more than that for me.
Oh yeah.
Because what's going to happen is you're going to have your body camera on, you're going to do what you do, and then all of a sudden the body camera that footage is going to be gone, and now we're going to have to investigate why he turned his camera off. Well, you and I both know why he turned his camera off. Well, let's investigate it. Let's spend the taxpayers' money on it. And at the end of the day, we all know it is what it is. He turned it off so he could do what he did. Because that's what they do. So body cameras mean nothing to me. They need policing the police. Do you understand?
Yes.
That's what you need. You need police policing the police. You're not related to anybody. You don't have no buddies on there. Your job is to watch them. If that means you get in a car and you got the same radio they got when a call goes out, you get your ass up and you go and you make sure they do their job right. And until they start doing that, until black people stop ending up on the side of the road, mysteriously shot, dead, nobody knows what happened or he did this or what. That's what needs to happen. We need to police the police.
This is true. This is actually something I'm advocating for in another regard. February 24th, I have a matter that I got to speak to on Candid Conversations. It's going to be interesting because it kind of falls in line with that. It's a different branch of enforcement, but it's still it still talks about certain aspects of their limitations to enforce. It's so complex. One of the hardest things for me is being who I am. Right. Knowing the nature of my character and realizing society will never accept me for who I am as a whole.
Right.
You know what I mean? Certain people will, but the whole thing, the whole nature of my character will not be accepted because, let's face it, if I'm not doing something artistic or musical, artistic or athletic, it's not supposed to be, it's not me.
Right.
Which is, it's unfortunate because I've been on the phone with the office of the premier for the last 11 years.
Right.
And they know, and when I call, there's something that needs to be done.
Right.
So I'm just trying to figure out now, where is that line? Who do we call when we see this injustice? How do we address it?
I'll tell you, like my granny told me, you got to shame the devil, baby. And I'll tell you one thing, a racist white person does not want to be is acknowledged, exposed. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Scared to death of it. Don't want it. They'll do it, but they don't want anybody to know they're doing it. You have to expose them, and you have to get other white people okay with exposing it too. When they see it, when they hear it, we have to get these people off our police forces. We have to get them out of our schools. We have to get them out of our institutions, period. And the only way, you and I can't do that alone. We need our white allies. You hear something, you say something. Whether you want to be anonymous, like Justice for Black Lives, we are in you're in the midst of coming up with a plan where you see a teacher popping out of line, you're afraid for your job, you drop a line, right? You drop that name to Justice for Black Lives. And we'll do our digging and we'll do our investigating. And if we find that this is a person who should absolutely not be teaching children, then we're going to the higher ups. And if you don't want to listen to us, well, we're going to bring 100 more people and they're going to come with us because we're going to shame the devil. We're going to expose you. We're going to put that spotlight on you so desperately want, but you're going to get it for the wrong reason. That's what you have to do. That's what you have to do.
True. Okay. Right. I don't think you realize that you lighten right now. It's like I'm sitting here, I'm hearing you, and I'm just like, okay, it's enlightening to hear this kind of passion for justice, because like I was getting to a point myself where it was just like, is there any point? Is there any cause? It's just me, like it's just us, like who's actually what we're doing. And then to see what you've done and the march and, you know what I mean, your agenda and all of that stuff, it's like, okay, like it's inspirational.
Right. You know, yeah. If it's just you, don't stop making those phone calls. What you do is you give, a friend. I mean, it's COVID. A lot of us are doing a whole lot of nothing. Drop that number. Maybe come up with a familiar phrase, a familiar statement. Everybody call the premier and say exactly the same thing. And eventually they're going to get tired of, because right now they're just hearing from you. You're one guy. You know what I mean? You're one guy. They don't have to pay attention to you. But if they get that phone call 100 times a day from 100 different people, nothing gets done. Next week, you get that same phone call from 200 different people. And then you throw the media in there too. Expose them. You have to expose them. That's the only way they're ever going to do the right thing.
This is true. So yeah. I gotta dig in. I have, oh my gosh. If only knew. Oh my gosh. Okay, so we're looking at this, and I want to make sure that this article does you justice as I put it in this when I put it in this magazine, because I remember last month talking about Justice for Black Lives in the Culture Shock magazine. This month I want to specifically focus on Sherri Darlene, the advocate, the individual. So I guess it's saying that what is the goal? What is your goal for this? For I guess what is the what are you trying to do with Justice for Black Lives?
I'm sorry, you clicked out there. What is
it trying to do with Justice for Black Lives?
Justice for Black Lives is here to stay. Hopefully when I'm not here on earth anymore, somebody will pick up that torch and keep it going. But I intend to bust shit wide open.
I'm going to quote you directly for that.
No more sugarcoating ignorance. Not allowed, not on my time. No more. It's exhausting, and I don't have it in me. I don't play the happy face game well. Never have, never will. If you're a racist, I don't care that you're a racist, but what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to take that at home and play with it at home. You are not going to be my police officer. You are not going to be my child's school teacher. You are not going to be the woman who waits on me in the store. You are not going to be in any position of power with your racist ideology. You're going to have to take it at home and keep it at home where it belongs, because you're entitled to do whatever you want in your own damn house. But when you come out into society, you have to conduct yourself like all of us. And I'm not doing that dance anymore with you. If I feel like you should, I just found out a woman that I dealt with that I did in a mediation. I found out she was a school teacher. And this woman is racist. And I acknowledged her as racist. She didn't see it, but once we had a very long, comfortable talk, it was uncomfortable for her at times. But once I explained to her that her ideology was racist, it was easier for her to absorb, because I spoke to her. I gave her the facts. I broke it down for her, and she was okay with absorbing that. But she made the fatal mistake as she was walking out of the door. Her and her husband were talking between themselves. She mentioned that she was a teacher. right here in Niagara Falls, Ontario. And I said, did you just say you're a teacher? She said, I did. I said, that's not good. I said, someone like you, I could tell you, in my head, I see it unfolding. I see it unfolding on the playground where, the little white kid comes up and tells her the little black kid pushed her, and she kneels down and whispers in the little white kid's ear some ignorance and goes about, you know what I mean? That woman has no business being responsible for the education of any child, white, black, brown, Chinese, none. So I told her, I'm going to have to report you. And she just looked at me baffled. What do you mean? I'm going to have to report you, sweetie. You have racist ideology and you have the influence of young minds who are looking to you for information. And you should have seen her face. She was before that, we were leaving, shaking hands, everything was cool. But when I told her, and I didn't pretend, I got to tell him. And I got to see something done. Otherwise, I got to bring my friends. And you see what happens when I call my friends, right? They come by the thousands. So either you do the right thing and you go take some race and relations training and get back at me, and you let your facility know, your faculty know that you're doing this, and this is the reason why, because I'm going to send the results of my report of the conclusion of this meeting with you to your superior. And I'm also going to recommend that you do go into some diversity, inclusion, some race relations. Otherwise, you don't show any initiative to do any of those things, you need to be removed.
Yeah, why should you hold a position of authority or governance if you're unable to deal with people like people?
Some of the most heinous things said to me about my color were said to me as a child from a teacher. Some of the most detrimenting things to the very core of who I am, or who I was going to be, or who I could be, or who I thought I wanted to be, were destroyed and taken away from me via a teacher, and I was a child. So that hit home for me when she told me she was a teacher. Well, she didn't tell me. She slipped up and let me hear it. And I double checked with her husband. I said, did she just say she was a teacher? He said, yeah. I said, oh. Sit down. We need to have a little bit of a talk before you walk out the door, because I'm gonna need some things done here for me to be comfortable with her standing at the head of a classroom.
Yeah, definitely. And that's daring. I'm not gonna lie. What you do is very daring, because people don't often want to talk about their not insecurities, but their ignorance.
She didn't see it. She definitely didn't see it. And everything she said, just in her general talking, I stopped her every single time she did it. I stopped her. I said, that's a microaggression. Well, and then of course, when she got frustrated because it got to the point where I was stopping her every 2 seconds, what do white women do? There's a whole chapter on it.
They start crying.
So I just handed her a box of Kleenex and told her to pull herself together, because we're not done.
Oh jeez. Well, you gotta do it the way it needs to be done, or else it won't get done right?
It's a defense mechanism. That's what they do when they get so frustrated and they don't feel like they're getting listened, or they're not getting their point across, or they feel like they're getting treated unfairly. They turn on the tears. And she did it a couple times. Every time she did it, I just slid over the Kleenex. Your tears mean nothing to me. Your tears, it's not going to make me stop. It's not going to make me change my tone. We're here to fix a problem, be part of a solution, not part of a problem. So you go ahead and pull yourself together. Here's some Kleenex. I'm going to continue. And after about the third time, she realized that I was not joking. And when I explained to her, you do realize there's a whole chapter called White Women's Tears in the book White Fragility. A whole chapter dedicated to what you're doing right now. And when she realized it wasn't going to work, she stopped. After about the third time, she stopped.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, doesn't matter what color the skin is, never had an effect on me. As soon as I see the tears come up, it's just like, No, I feel like I become a little bit more callous unless I know there's a death or an injury. Like tears
Yeah.
do not. It just
Yeah.
me.
Well, it's a weapon that white people use, especially white women. They weaponize it because they know that a white woman in distress is red flag, everybody help me, I'm in need, I'm in need, I'm in need. So when you shut them down at the gate with that nonsense and they realize it's not happening, it's not flying, she really didn't know what to do with herself but sit there in her truth. When I explained to her exactly what she was doing and how her tears meant nothing here. I mean, you want to keep crying, I can get you some more Kleenex, honey, but it's not going to have any bearing on what's going down here. We're going to continue. You're going to continue to hear hard things that you don't like to hear. You're going to continue to hear things about yourself that you don't like. But, I'm proud of you for sitting here through it. But you got to stop all those tears because they mean nothing and they're going to get you nowhere. Nobody here cares about them. Maybe your husband, but that's about it.
Okay. Right. So, wow. Just sitting here, I'm looking at this. I'm just like, founder, activist, advocate. So, like, what do you do when you're not? There is a time when you're not advocating. What do you do, like, for yourself in the sense of to have fun, to enjoy life?
Dance. Turn my music up real loud, move my coffee table, and dance.
Oh man, okay.
I'm surprised you haven't seen me driving. I put on concerts in the car, just me. Music's always bumping. Everybody always knows when I'm coming. I love my music and I love to dance.
Okay. The coffee table.
Yes. And my dog, of course. My dog and my husband and my kid. Of course, I love my family. My dog dances with me now. He's used to it. So as soon as he sees mommy start jamming, he's like, oh, it's dance time. He'll start running around with me.
So what kind of dog is it?
He's a pit bull.
Okay. Nice.
Cutest, best dog ever. Right? What's Mama Uday doing? What are you doing? He's napping right now because, he's my shadow. If I get up and move, he's going to wake right up and follow me.
Yeah, I find animal like that relationship between animal and owner is like it's very interesting.
He's like a person. He should have been a person.
Yeah, like people kind of look at me funny sometimes when I start talking to their animal in like English, and it's just like you do.
I probably talk to my dog more than I talk to anybody, especially when I'm rehearsing, like for a speaking event or something. He's my audience. He just sits there on the bed with his paws crossed, looking at me. Yeah, that's good, Mom. That's good.
So, speaking of your speaking engagements, do you have any of those coming up? If so, when and where?
I do. Been really busy, and that's a great thing. As you guys all know, Justice for Black Lives operates solely on donations. Our donation pool is dwindling. A lot of those donations I use to buy the books for the books clubs. So with the speaking events, what's happening now is I'm getting hired privately a lot now. So I started doing the mediation, which is if I can get both parties to sit down at the table, and if it's an hour, we get it cleared up, sometimes 4 hours. But I don't charge for the mediation, but I feel like it's very necessary because especially when there's racial tension there. So I'm getting a lot of that, but my speaking events have become, a lot of them become private. Private companies are hiring me to do these speaking events, which is great because I quit my job. So that's really my only income now is my speaking events. So they're slowly climbing. I've got one coming up. The Living Library with Niagara College. I believe that is on the 23rd. I've been hired by a private company. I have one coming up on the 18th. I just did one the other day, last week. I do, of course, the museum, the book clubs. Those are great. I love how many white people come, and I love the positive feedback. Like, thank you, Sherri. I learned so much. And, because sometimes white people, they've got a question and it's a valid question, but they're not sure if it'll offend, if it's not the right question to ask. So Justice for Black Lives, we really pride ourselves on providing that comfortable space, that safe space to ask those questions, because it's better that you come and ask us than to go out there and touch somebody's hair and think it's okay, right? And get
Yeah.
cursed out. And get cursed out because you touched somebody's hair. Well, you didn't really think there anything of it. I myself personally have never felt the desire to walk up and touch a stranger's hair, but for some reason, white people think it's okay. I don't know why, but white people, stop. Don't do it. Stop it.
I'm not gonna lie. You know what?
Yeah.
At a younger age, I was fascinated with the difference in textures between, because my aunts were hairdressers. It's just like
Yeah.
no. But as I grew up, it's just like, yeah, you only get hit so many times before you realize you shouldn't do it. But no. Oh, my daughter doesn't like hair at all. She wants to take care of it herself. She's just, no, don't do it.
I think what white people need to really understand is when you do that to a black person, it's like you're putting us in the same category as you would a dog or a cat or an animal. Because as I said previously, I have never in my 48 years of life thought it was okay to walk up to a complete stranger and stick my hands in their head.
Oh, a complete stranger.
Yeah. White people do this, and white people do it all the time. And then they wonder why that person is so angry with them. And they tend to do it at black people because the texture of our hair is different. And they just want to know what our hair feels like. Well, sweetie, read a book. Go buy a wig. Or ask. Don't just walk up. And this girl did this to me at work. And I read her. I fed it to her. And she turned around, looked at me, and she said, well, you could touch my hair. I don't want to touch your hair. I don't want to touch your hair. I don't want to touch your hair. And never in my life have I wanted to touch somebody's hair so badly that I invaded their personal space, a stranger, to touch their hair. And nor should you ever do that again. Well, I don't understand why you're so upset. I'm not a dog, lady. And even my son, at a very young age, I remember him coming home. He's like, Mom, white people keep rubbing my head. I said, tell them don't do it.
Oh, man.
Tell them don't do it. They're not allowed. And he didn't understand where my anger was coming from. But the older he got, he realized it's like they're walking up petting a dog. They just come up, no permission, nothing. Just come up and, are you crazy?
Oh, nowadays, you never know. Okay, so you've been actively engaged in speaking engagements around Niagara region and beyond.
Yes.
Where is the most interesting place you have done a conference, I guess? Or
haven't really done a conference. I mean, actually this month coming up, these will be my largest audience. One is going to be an audience of 100 and the other one's going to be an audience of 200 plus. So my audiences, they're getting larger and larger. I'm really excited about it because they personally seeked me out. Because I said to the lady, I said, do you know who I am, right? Yeah. And she said, oh, yeah. I said, have you seen some things that I've done or spoken? She said, oh, yeah. And we know you're not going to bring any fluff. I said, oh, is that what we're calling it now? She's like, yeah, I told my boss, this girl, no fluff.
Yeah. I don't even think I want my co-host. I just said she's an interesting individual. Be something. It's gonna be eye-opening. So,
but I mean, in reality, what am I doing but telling the truth? That's all I'm doing.
That's the thing. That's what's required. That's what a lot of people haven't been hearing. So when
I'm not standing on my head. I'm not blowing fire out of my nose. I'm just telling the truth.
But but that's the thing. The truth has an effect on people that, like, well, I often say the truth is what one is willing to believe. But you're speaking in a way that and people can't Because if they look up what you're saying, they'll find it to be true, and it contradicts what they might have previously known.
Exactly. And that's hard for everybody, right? And I'm still learning. Like my grandmother can't teach me, my great granny can't teach me everything, and my mother couldn't teach me everything. So I'm still learning. I just finished a couple weeks ago. I watched there was a TV show called The Underground. I'm so pissed off they canceled it. But the one thing that kept standing out to me was when these slaves ran north for freedom, they ran 600 miles barefoot, dogs chasing them, hungry, cold, scraped up, bitten up, and knowing at the very thought that they got caught, if they got caught, that's certain death. 600 miles through bushes, swamps, jungles, 600 miles. That just kept standing out to me. I would not be sitting here today if one of those slaves did not take flight. 600 miles. What is that, a 3-week walk?
Give or take. Let me check.
600 miles.
Okay. How long would it take to walk 600 miles?
According to Quora, walking 600 miles at this pace would then take 200 hours of walking.
So 200 hours. 200 hours. You're looking at almost 10 days.
In the elements, needing to hide during the day so they weren't hunted, and then run at night through swamps. Oh my God, swamps. Right. I don't even walk in tall grass. So, I mean, the idea of just that homage alone, and literally, I wouldn't be sitting here today because it is believed in my history that my family legacy got here via a slave that ran from Virginia and crossed with Harriet Tubman.
Oh, wow.
So that literally, I mean, that's how we all got here. Basically, a lot of the Black people are here because they fled north from the plantations. They ran.
That is definitely news. Constantly growing. Okay. This sounds just like, oh man. Okay, there's another question. What is something that everybody should know about you?
That everybody should know about me?
Yes.
I'm a mama bear. I don't play around. I don't play around about mine.
Okay.
Not even a little bit. I am a mama bear, full blown mama bear.
Oh man.
My son went away to school, and we made a deal before he went to school. He went very far, and I said, at least a phone call. A week is not allowed to go by without a phone call. Okay, Mom, I agree. Right? Don't get a phone call a week. Second week, don't get a phone call. I'm calling him. He's not answering. So I call the police where he's at, and I say, listen, my son hasn't called home in 2 weeks. They're like, well, ma'am, he is in university. I need somebody to go see about my boy. Next thing I know, about an hour later, I get this phone call. Oh my God, Mom, you embarrassed me so bad. Here comes the police car. I'm out on the football field. Cop walks over. Is there a so-and-so out here? Yeah. Call your mother.
That is gold.
Like, I'll never be able to live that down. That's all they do. They can make fun of me on the football field. I'll never be able to live that down ever.
Oh, man.
Like, well, what should you have done? He's like, called home. Exactly. Okay, so we're not going to have this happen again because you're going to do what? Follow the rules and call home. Okay, then we're good. So yeah, I'm a mama bear.
Okay, all right. She doesn't play when it comes to her family.
Don't play. Don't play.
Oh man. Oh, this has been delightful. I
It
honestly,
has.
I've learned something new. I have a page full of information on you that I can write into an article for this month's Culture Shock magazine. Is there anybody? Where can people get a hold of you? Is there anybody you'd like to give a shout out to or make
I
mention?
just want to I want to give a shout out to all the people who continue to donate to Justice for Black Lives. You can donate at justiceforblacklives.com. Pretty much any and everything that I'm doing, it's that page, that website is updated with my current events, things that I have going on. I want to give a shout out to all the good people out there, white people, black people, especially my white people who are stepping up, becoming allies, linking arms in arms with us. We can do this together. And I want to give a shout out to my family for putting up with me.
Oh, that's great. Awesome. All right. Yes, this is a daring road that we travel, and you know what? It's nice to meet alliances or affiliates along the way. It's nice to know people standing up for the good cause and doing the right thing. So,
I
yeah.
just didn't know what else to do. I didn't have anything else to do. I couldn't sit silent anymore. I couldn't sit complacent anymore. And literally, I heard this voice say, do something. And so I did.
Yeah.
Did I think it was going to turn out the way it did? Nope. But do I feel like I finally landed on 2 feet and I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing? This is what I was born to do? Absolutely. That's why it was so easy for me to quit my 20-year job. I knew I had finally landed. I'm finally doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Okay. Well, don't let this be the last time you pop up on here. I believe we actually have you appearing March 28th on Breakfast with Rock. I think it's like Breakfast with Rock Stars.
Yeah, sounds interesting. Sounds interesting.
It will be. It definitely will be. It's on WrestleMania Sunday, so
Nice.
I have 2 podcasts to do that day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I'll either be defending or fighting for a title in a prediction.
Okay.
So
That'll be interesting.
yeah, we're keeping things going over here. We got Candid Conversations on Wednesdays. The Terrell Effect is on Saturdays, so that's when I usually play the music and get people dancing and stuff like that. Savage Circle happens Saturday evenings, and then I got Daddy Daughter Time. We're starting on Fridays at 4:30 again, and then Tough Talks. That's going to be on Sundays. So yeah.
But I will see you. Thank you very much for having me, and I will see you on the 27th, 28th.
28th. Sounds
28th.
good.
Have a good night.
You too. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Darlene, ladies and gentlemen, justiceforblacklives.com. Check out the website. She is definitely an individual who is of a person of interest in the community. Sherri Darlene, yes, there's always knowledge for human and growth. Sarah, you know what? I got to shout you out. Much love to the human race. There's always room for knowledge and growth. Like, the fact that you're always watching, I appreciate you. You know what I mean? We need more people like you checking out what we're doing here. Candid Conversations. We started at 7:30, but that's because just life happens. You know what I mean? So we're here, and we're about to head out. Expose the North presents to you the Terrell Effect. Tough Talk. Tilly and the Block. Candid Conversation. Daddy Daughter Time. As the Savage Circle. Also, the Boneyard is a part of the Savage Circle, as well as Sofa City Sounds. So tune in on Saturday, where I have the only poet live on camera. I'm not sure if he's going to be in studio or if he's going to be online, but the only poet will be joining us on the Terrell Effect this Saturday. I have his music. We're going to turn it up. Thank you for watching. I appreciate y'all. I appreciate your time and your energy. Tune in this Saturday where we get live again for Sherri Darlene and Justice for Black Lives. This is the Block saying, bless up. We out.